Welcome to the Newsome MMA podcast, partnered with Concussion Pro 1, the world's first dedicated concussion supplement. I'm your host as always, Newsome, with my co-host Jon, and tonight we have another special guest for you guys, so I'd like to welcome KSW Middleweight, the future KSW Middleweight champion, Scott Askham, who will also be breaking down UFC 230 this Saturday from Madison Square Garden, New York. Thanks for joining us tonight, Scott. How you doing, man?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Hi, guys.
How you doing, buddy?
So, Scott, I've got to ask, a lot of fighters I speak to are low-key gamblers and like to have action on some of these UFC cards. So, do you like getting in on some bets as well?
Not often. I do now and again. My biggest win was Mark DeCasey in his debut. I think he was 3-1 for a TKO.
Nice. I think I remember that, actually.
Yeah, I put a lot of money on that, so I got a nice win.
Yeah. I think I can remember that. I'm sure you took a picture of the cash, didn't you, and put it on Facebook?
No, my dad did. It
was it your dad?
Yeah, like it was because he put the bet on me because I was away.
Right.
He put the bet on me because I was away for me because I was away, and they put it on like it was cash. Cheeky guy.
And Jon, how are you doing tonight, man? You looking forward to the card Saturday night?
Certainly am, man. It's good to be back. Obviously, unfortunately, I couldn't make it for last week for the Moncton breakdown, but I'm back talking big fight card 230. Obviously, we're joined by a fantastic guest in Scott. Been to see some of his fights live as a fan, so fantastic to be joined by him on the podcast tonight.
For sure. So just before we start, I'd just like to remind you all that the Premium Bets membership options from Newsome MMA are available and on the Newsome MMA website. You've got the options of a standard bronze, silver and gold membership, and these memberships provide cheaper prices per fight card for those that commit to slightly longer terms, opposed to purchasing my picks individually per week. You can find these membership options at newsomemma.co.uk/premium-bets. So without further ado, let's break down UFC 230 from bottom to top, and your first fight of the evening, we've got the short notice fight actually. We've got Adam Wieczorek versus Rogerio de Lima. So, Scott, who have you got in this one?
Yeah, that's light heavyweight fight, that, isn't
it? It's heavyweight, this one.
Is it? It's gone up to heavyweight?
Yeah, Page moved up, yeah.
Yeah, I've trained with him at ATT. He's a beast. I'm going with him by something vicious.
Something vicious? You think he'll be quick?
I'm not too sure who the other guy is, to be sure, but I know Lima's legit. I've trained with him. Like he's a lot heavier than me, but like some guys, when you just train with him, like everything just feels heavy. You know what I mean? Like it's hard to explain. Like obviously he's heavier, but like just his leg kicks and everything just feels so much heavier. You know what I mean? He has had a few problems himself recently, and he got flagged by USADA. I'm guessing he's got that sorted, and then he missed weight in one as well, didn't he? So so I would imagine he'd be hungry to get back to winning ways as well.
For sure. And Jon, what about you?
I'm going to have to disagree with our guest on this one. I'm going the other way. I'm going Wieczorek. I like the look of him in his opening two fights in the UFC. Obviously got that brutal omoplata win over Arce, who we saw last night in Moncton, get the win. Obviously, say with De Lima, I think he missed weight his last two fights, hasn't he, against Jeremy Kimball and over in St. Preux, which obviously forced the move up to heavyweight.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to see how he fares at heavyweight. He might fare a lot better. It might come into more natural weight to him, but obviously going up, I do sometimes worry about fighting natural heavyweights. Wieczorek might come in as well because obviously it's short notice. He might come in even bigger, so he might have quite a size advantage. Can find. I don't really know. But yeah, I think Wieczorek's going to get the win in this one. I think he's going to get a late submission win.
Yeah, I'm going to side with Scott on this, and I just feel that this might actually be a really good move up to heavyweight for De Lima. He was always massive at light heavyweight, obviously, he's missed weight in the past and stuff like that, but I just think that one of the problems that he had at light heavyweight in some of his previous fights was sort of fading. If the fight did go on a little bit longer, he did slow down, and that's obviously due to a weight cut, a brutal weight cut, and having to fight smaller than what his natural weight is. But I'll be interested to see what he actually weighs in at heavyweight. that's really intriguing to me. I think he would have lost against his last opponent that's just pulled out in Ruslan Magomedov. But Adam Wieczorek, I think he's more of a point fighter at this weight and in this division. He's not somebody that's going to go out there and starch a lot of these UFC fighters. So I think it's going to be either De Lima early, or I think it's going to be Wieczorek late. I could see Wieczorek winning a decision for sure, but I've got a funny feeling De Lima's just going to look like an absolute tank in this division, and I think he's going to go out there fast, out like a bull, and I think he might knock Wieczorek out. So I'm going De Lima to win via knockout. And in the next fight tonight, we've got Brian Kelleher versus Montel Jackson. So Scott, who have you got in this one?
I'll go Kelleher on that one. Yeah, I'll be honest with you, I'm not too familiar with them two.
Yeah, no worries.
If you're two talk, I'll probably remember who they are, but I'm absolutely rubbish with names. I did have a look at the fight card earlier, but yeah. So I'll let y'all two pick first.
Yeah, no problem. So John, who you got in this one, man?
Yeah, I'm going Kelleher with this one. I do like Kelleher, but I do like Kelleher. I like his style. He's aggressive. He can win the fight all over. He got that. He's got a dangerous guillotine. We saw that against Alcantara. He's got power in his hands, which you saw against Stasiak as well. He got that good win over Henan Barrow as well, former champ Henan Barrow, earlier on this year, back in February. Obviously, it's not the Barrow that we saw of old, but it's still a good win. Obviously, lost his most recent fight to John Lineker, but that brutal left hook in the third round. But we all know what Lineker's about. He's got them heavy hands, and yeah, I just like Kelleher. I like his he's always staying active. He's busy. His opponent, Montel Jackson, I haven't seen a great deal of him. Obviously, we saw he beat up Julio in Dana White's Contender Series, and then he fought that very close loss to Ricky Simon back at UFC 227. But I do like Kelleher here. I think he'll just be a bit more active. I like he's dangerous standing and when it goes to the ground, and I do think it's going to go the distance. But I think Kelleher's got enough about him to get the decision win.
Yeah, I'm going the other way here. I'm going with Montel Jackson. I think the dude's got a really high ceiling. He looks exciting. He looks elusive. You know what? I think it was just before his last fight against Ricky Seaman. I heard a few people comparing him to like John Jones and the sort of trajectory that he was on and his fighting style, and I was like, nah, fuck that. You know what I mean? Definitely not. But you know what? Like, the more you dig into his previous fights and you look at his style and how he's putting fighters away and his movement and just everything about him, I actually sort of get it a little bit. Obviously, it's really early days to start trying to put a guy like Montel Jackson in with a name like John Jones, but I think he's a really exciting guy. He's the southpaw versus orthodox. Montel Jackson is much. I think he's got like at least 2 or 3 inches of height on him. He's going to have an 11-inch reach advantage. He throws kicks all up and down the body, low, middle, high. That'll work well for him fighting against the orthodox Brian Kelleher. I think Kelleher's going to be struggling to get inside on Montel Jackson. He just gauges distance so well, and he's quick, and he fires that straight left like a sniper as well, straight down the pipe. I've got a funny feeling Brian Kelleher is just gonna have a whole host of problems in this fight. Brian Kelleher is not a bad fighter by any means, but he's a dog fighter, and I feel that he needs to be able to be in a dog fight for him to really flourish. So he was able to do that against Barrow. That's a clean example of that. Barrow stood in the pocket with him. He traded. Barrow came forward. He let Kelleher come forward. There was no sort of real distance management in the fight, and that allowed Kelleher to really flourish. But in this fight, Kelleher's not going to have that fight. Kelleher is going to be rushing forward at times, just trying to get inside, trying to land on Jackson, and I just think Jackson's just going to be able to pick him apart on the outside. If he comes in, Jackson's got good wrestling as well, so I won't be surprised to see some takedowns here. Looking at the Ricky Simone fight, I know he got beat at 30-27, but you can take a lot from that fight. Like, Ricky Simone's a relentless grappler, a relentless wrestler. He just doesn't stop coming forward and trying to put you on your back, which he did put Jackson on his back quite a lot of times, but Jackson kept on getting up and he kept on going. He showed good cardio in that fight. He reversed and swept a couple of times as well. I just think that, like I said at the start of me breaking this down, Jackson's got a really, really high ceiling, and I think this is a really bad stylistic matchup for Brian Kelleher. So I think he's going to knock him out as well. I'm not sure how much of how much Kelleher is depleted after being finished by John Lineker, but I think Montel Jackson's going to knock him out potentially late in the fight. So I've got Jackson to win by knockout. So Scott, what about you, man? Who have you got?
Yeah, that was a pretty good breakdown. I have heard of that Kelleher. Now you've said about the fights. I know that name or bell with that other guy coming off the Contender Series. That's probably why I've not heard of him as much. But obviously, I've got to pick the Southpaw guy now.
Sure. So the next fight, we've got Shane Burgos versus Kurt Holobaugh. So John, who have you got in this one, man?
This one, I'm a big fan of Hurricane Shane Burgos. I really like his boxing. He's got real crisp boxing. His first few fights that he came into the UFC, I was really impressed with him. Those wins over Thiago Traitor, Charles Rosa, and then Godfredo Pepe. I thought this guy could go all the way top 5 in the division, but then he kind of got derailed a bit against Calvin Kattar in his last fight, UFC 220. Kattar, as we saw, again competed last night. He's a dangerous guy. He's got good boxing himself, but I think Hurricane Shane's going to win this one. Holobaugh, from what I've seen of him, he likes to overextend on those punches. You saw that especially in his last fight against Barcelos, where he got knocked out in the 3rd round, that uppercut. He tends to come charging in, overextending those punches, ducking his head, which Barcelos was throwing that uppercut over and over again, and that was the punch that eventually put him away in round 3 of their fight. But Holobaugh didn't seem to learn his lesson from when he got caught the 1st, 2nd, 10th time with that, and I think and Shane Burgos got fantastic head movement as well. So I think unless Holobaugh's really improved on that boxing and he's crispened up those straights and he doesn't come overextending, I think it's going to be a tough night. I think Shane Burgos is going to dodge and weave those punches, and he's going to counter punch him all night. I think Shane's going to finish him quite early, either 1st round or quite early in the 2nd round. Cool.
And Scott, who have you got in this one, man?
Yeah, I pretty much agree with what he's just said. Yeah. I'm laughing.
I took the words right out of your mouth, eh, Scott?
I think we broke Scott.
Yeah,
I just told my wife to get an iPad. I didn't know that. Let's wait till we get through the card. Sorry.
No, it's all right.
You done proper good breakdowns. So I just agree with all that one.
We'll wait till she comes back, man. It's all right. I can edit all this out.
She told me this Snapchat laughing. No, go on, y'all talk about it. My daughter's got iPad. No, well, hey, it was great flow. I think it's funny.
Right.
I did actually look at names. I thought I know these. I'm just rubbish with names.
Yeah. So in this fight, I've got Shane Burgos as well. I think it's going to be a good fight, this, and it could potentially be fight of the night. I think because both guys are really, really hittable. I don't think either of them have got great striking defense, but they've both got a really good chin, so I think that sort of plays a part in it. We saw Kurt Holobaugh take so many shots from Barcelos, and that was a really good performance from Barcelos, that he kept himself in that fight, didn't gas out just by punching the dude in the face, But Kurt Holobaugh wasn't going anywhere fast in that fight, and like I say, he really hittable, but got a good chin, and the same can be said for Shane Burgos as well. Hands low, moves forward. He doesn't mind taking a punch to throw a punch, and that's his sort of mentality. But again, a good chin. I know Kate finished him, but Kate is just a legit guy. He's just different class, man. And I think when you're breaking these two down after what I've said, I think that Burgos is the more technical striker. All that being said, I think Kurt Holobaugh will probably land the harder punches. I think he might have the harder punch, but like I say, Shane Burgos will be out there. He'll be throwing. He's quite elusive in the way he throws his strikes as well. So I think Burgos will land the more volume, but I think Holobaugh will more be looking for sort of that one shot rather than trying to land a whole host of volume on Shane Burgos. Ultimately, I think that both the chins are going to hold up in this fight, and I think Shane Burgos is just going to win the decision. I think he's going to be the aggressor. He'll be the one moving forward for the majority of the fight, and I think he'll ultimately be the one that lands the more shots. So yeah, I've got Shane Burgos to win via decision. So Scott, who have you got in this one, man?
Yeah, I've got to agree with you two on this one. I think he's going to finish it in second, though. I think he'll get that finish. No, I'm a bit rubbish with low down and the cards, to be honest with you.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I had a chance to look them all up, but when we get to the main card, I'll do a bit more of a breakdown.
Yeah, sweet, no worries. So in the next fight, we've got Matt Frevola versus Lando Vannata. So I'll jump in on this one first. I think it's going to be another good fight. Both have got decent striking. Both have got good wrestling as well. Lando being a D1 wrestler, a little bit like sort of your Justin Gaethje's style in a way. The fact that he's got that wrestling, but never really uses it offensively. He'll use it defensively when he needs to, but he just prefers to go out there, throw his spinning back kicks, his spinning back fists, and all this crazy stuff. And I think Lando Vannata's due a win now. He's lost a few on the bounce. I think he's a better fighter than what he's shown in his last few fights as well. And I just think it's a bad time for Matt Frevola to fight Lando Vannata. Frevola's not a bad fighter himself, like I say, he's got decent takedowns, decent top control. He does like to stand and bang. Coming off a knockout loss to Polo Reyes, so he's obviously going to be wanting to get back in the win column. And I just think Lando Vannata again, he's just going to be throwing these crazy strikes from crazy angles. I think he'll be the aggressor in this fight, where I think that's where he fell short in his last fight, because he was more allowing of close to come in and sort of dominate the octagon control and things like that. So I think Lando Vannata will put on a better performance in this fight, and I think he's going to knock Frevola out. I think he might do it sort of mid to late fight, so maybe late second, early third. But yeah, I've got Lando Vannata to win by knockout. So John, who have you got in this one?
You've pretty much covered everything off that I was going to say. I'm going with groovy Lando Vannata on this one. I think he's like you say, he's got that Justin Gaethje kind of style. He wants to stand and bang. He wants to throw them fancy spinning attacks and things like that. He doesn't really use his wrestling offensively. He doesn't tend to take fighters down. He probably could, and he probably would win more fights off the back of it, but that's just not his style. When you look at the fights he's had since he came into the UFC, he's had one hell of a tough run. I mean, Tony Ferguson in his debut, that short notice debut, he nearly finished Ferguson as well in the first round. And then he had got that fantastic spinning world kick against John McDessie in his second fight. Then he's fought David Tamor, Bobby Green, and Drakkar Klose, like you say. So he's had a tough run of it since he's coming to the UFC. But I do think he's due a win, like you say. Matt Frevola, again, I haven't seen a great deal of him, but I mean, that knockout loss to Polo Reyes after a minute of the fight, he just kind of came in head down, swinging wild hooks, If he comes in again like that against Vannata, he's going to get caught with something eventually. And I think you're right. I think he'll be a stoppage second, maybe third round.
And Scott, who have you got in this one, man?
Yeah, I'm going to go pretty much the same. I'm going to go a bit earlier this time. I'm hoping that Vannata's got a bit of confidence back to him. Because like I say, his debut against Ferguson was unbelievable, a great watch. And then obviously his fight after that with a spinning kick. But yeah, he just seems to have lost a bit of form. And yeah, it's hard to explain. You know what I mean? Like, confidence is everything in the fight game. You know what I mean? Obviously
Sure.
skills as well. But
Yeah.
if you're carrying that confidence, it can be a big thing. So hopefully he's still believing in his techniques. He's confident in himself. He's not in a bad place mentally, and he gets back on winning ways. Because he's exciting to watch, and everybody loves watching him fight. He's never in boring fights either. So, but yeah, I'm hoping that he'll come out, blow them cobwebs off, put everything behind him, and blast straight through somewhere.
Sure. And in the next fight of the night, we've got Ben Saunders versus Lyman Good. Again, this is a short notice fight. Ben Saunders stepping in to fight Lyman Good on short notice. So, John, who have you got in this one?
Yeah, I feel like, I've only been doing this podcast with you for a couple of months, and I feel like we've spoke about Ben Saunders about 10 times since I've joined you on the podcast. But yeah, I think this is like maybe his fourth fight of the year, maybe, I think.
Yeah, he's stepped in a lot, man.
Has he just been knocked out, has he? He lost recently, didn't he?
Yeah, he lost recently against Sergio Moraes, arm triangle. Only only last month. But yeah, I think Lyman Good's going to get the win in this one. He has only fought himself once, Lyman Good once since 2015, and that was July of last year. That split decision to Zaleski. But I do think I mentioned it before on all the previous podcasts with Ben Saunders. He's approaching the end of his career. He's quite hittable. He's dangerous when he gets into the clinch, and he's got that dangerous rubber guard. So he can cause you damage in the clinch, and you do have to watch yourself if you do take him down and he's in full guard. But I think Lyman Good's going to come out, and I think he's going to finish Ben Saunders as well, first or second round.
Yeah, I mean, like you say, for me, he's fought so much lately. Obviously, he's got this fight coming up. Just lost to Moraes, which we covered. Before that, he beat knocked Jake Ellenberger out. Before that, it was Alan Jouban that ended up knocking him out. And I just don't know. I don't know where Ben Saunders is at right now, and I certainly wouldn't trust his chin either right now. I think Lyman Good is going to dispatch him quite early in this fight. Could potentially be the first round. You don't mess about Lyman Good. You saw that in the Zaleski fight. That was a back and forth war. They were both out there just wanting to put each other. Wanting to put each other out, wanting to put each other in a body bag. You know what I mean? They were both just going for it, and that's Lyman Good's style. He's aggressive. He's in your face. He'll swing in the pocket. Again, another fight that doesn't mind taking a shot to give a shot, and I just think that's a horrible style for Ben Saunders right now. I think Ben Saunders can have success in this fight if, when Lyman Good comes forward and he is starting to try and knock him out inside the pocket, for Ben Saunders to tie up in the clinch or the tie clinch, force him back to the cage, start working some knees and elbows, which that is where Ben Saunders is actually still really good and still really good. That's where he's always flourished in his fights. And just to try and maybe wear out Lyman Good to take away a bit of that sting in his punches, because we saw that last night with Haqparast and Guti. After that first round, I was pretty sure Haqparast wasn't going to knock him out because Guti had taken everything. The sting had come out the punches, and I sort of see a similar thing with this fight here. But ultimately, I don't think Ben Saunders can last that first round in this fight. I think once Lyman Good lands two or three shots clean on Ben Saunders, I think the dude's going to go out. So I've got Lyman Good via first round knockout. So Scott, what have you got in this fight, man?
Yeah, I would disagree with you both on this one. I think Ben Saunders is going to weather that storm and get the submission. Maybe get a takedown and get a cheeky submission, or maybe even gets dropped. He might get dropped and land in a triangle or some sort of rubber guard shit. But yeah, he's clever. He's a veteran, Ben Saunders. been around a long time. He's got a few good submissions on his record as well. So I'm going to go with Ben Saunders.
Sure. And in the next fight, and a betting line that I think is totally off is Julio Arce against Sheymon Moraes. Arce being a -400 favourite, which the UK odds that's 1-4. I just don't think it warrants that line at all. I'm a huge fan of Julio Arce, and I think he's, again, another fighter with a really high ceiling. He's got crisp Muay Thai. He's got cardio. He's got a decent ground game, decent submissions. He gauges distance well. He's actually quite a slow starter as well, just so he can sort of gauge his range and his timing before he really starts to put that pressure on and start landing shots himself. But I just think his all-round game is so legit. And like I say, I think he's going to go a long way in the UFC. But then he's standing on the opposite side of the cage to Sheymon Moraes, and Sheymon Moraes is a veteran of this sport. He's been around for quite a few years. He's fought some really good fighters, some top competition on his record, and again, he's got a Muay Thai style, really traditional Muay Thai. So sort of not too much movement, just sort of stalking his opponent down, just keep him moving forward, landing sort of 1 or 2 shots at a time, but really hard and accurate shots, leg kicks, straight punches. He's got a really good striking game as well. His cardio is a bit of a question mark, in his last fight against Matt Sales, a fight where I actually bet Sheymon Moraes as an underdog and cashed him as well. I just feel he keeps getting disrespected for some reason, and I'm not quite sure why. But yeah, his cardio did deplete quite a lot in that Sales fight in that 3rd round. But by that point, he'd already landed quite a lot on Sales. Sales was also putting on a high pressure as well. I think Arce is going to win this fight purely on what Matt Sales was doing in the 3rd round. I think Arce will be able to do in the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd if it goes to a decision. Arce will keep putting pressure on. He'll keep landing. Sheymon Moraes will land as well. That 1st round will be really close, but then I think Arce will just take over after that, and I can see another 3rd round finish, especially if Sheymon Moraes' cardio is really depleted by that point. I absolutely see Arce finishing sort of technical knockout in the 3rd round. But the line's off for sure, and Sheymon Moraes shouldn't be that much of an underdog in this fight. But who have you got in this one, John?
Yeah, I'm following your lead with that one. I couldn't believe it when I saw the odds as well, because Moraes is a beast. It's pretty disrespectful to the odds, because like you say, he's a dangerous guy. He hits hard. He's like you say, he's got that Muay Thai style. But yeah, I think Arce has got the all-round game, and he's got the conditioning to defeat Moraes here. I think, as you covered off, I think first round for me, this is my pick for fight of the night. I think it'll be a really entertaining scrap, this one. But I think that yeah, like you say, first round I think will be close. I think they'll both be happy to take a shot or two, to land a shot or two. But then I'll see from the 2nd, especially the 3rd round, if Moraes' his cardio is what we've seen from him in the last few fights. I think Arce will run away with it and take the final 2 rounds, and I think he'll get the decision win.
Sure. And Scott, who have you got in this one?
I think I'm going to go with Arce in this one. I think he's a big favourite for a reason. Yeah, I think he'll get win.
Sweet. So in the next fight of the night, we've got Sijara Eubanks versus Roxanne Modafferi. So John, who have you got in this one?
Yeah, this one, I've been umming and ahhing over this as to who I think is going to get the win. Obviously, we've seen them fight before in the Ultimate Fighter. Season 26, it was only last year.
How did that go?
Sijara Eubanks won that one.
Okay.
Yeah, she came out with it.
I'm going to pick Modafferi with me as well. I can remember off. She won the first Ultimate Fighter, women's Ultimate Fighter. I won she at 115. She's a bit of a veteran in sport. Been around her. Obviously, I didn't know she'd already lost to her before he said that. But yeah, I think she's going to cause the upset. I think it's quite funny where that Eubanks is fighting on the card, considering she was nearly the main event. It's quite laughable. But yeah, that Roxanne Modafferi, you'd never think she was a fighter.
When you look at it,
at all. So I'm sort of hoping. I'm hoping she does it as well. She's spent a lot of time in sport. She's fought all over the world. I think she's spent most of her career in Japan. So yeah, I'm going to go with Roxanne Modafferi.
And who have you got winning, John?
I want Modafferi to win. I do want Modafferi to win, but I think it's going to play out similar to the first fight. I think Eubanks is going to take the decision win. Yeah,
see, I'm agreeing with Scott here. I think she's smart in her fights, Modafferi, and like Scott said, it nail on the head with the fact that she's a veteran, she's been around for a long time, and I think she's seen a lot of different styles as well. So yeah, she has lost to Eubanks already, but the way that Roxanne Modafferi sort of gauges this sport and gauges the game of mixed martial arts, I think she'll take everything that happened in that fight and sort of work on everything that she needs to make sure that doesn't happen again. So the only thing that's weird for me with Modafferi is she tends to win a lot of fights where I say she shouldn't, but where she's not being favoured to. But then she loses a lot of fights where she's expected to win. So it's sort of like, for me, you're not really sure what you're going to get from her on fight night. But what I do know is that she's got, when it's getting rough on the feet, she can clinch up. She's got takedowns. She's got decent top control as well. And I think that's going to play a part in this fight. And I also think it's going to go the decision, but I'm going with Roxanne Modafferi to get that decision over Sijara Eubanks. And in the next fight of the night, we've got a really, really good fight here. We've got Jason Knight against Jordan Rinaldi. Again, there's a lot of betting lines on this fight card that are totally off, in my opinion, and this is another one. We've got Jason Knight at minus 260. I think that's way too high, but who have you got in this one, John?
I'm going with Jason Knight in this one. Even though he's lost 3 on the bounce, he's got that really exciting style. He's he's one that doesn't mind taking a shot to land 2. He's dangerous on the mat. He's very good in the scrambles. He's got dangerous submissions. He's always looking for something off his back, and he'll march you down. He'll get in your face, and I think that's what he'll do against Rinaldi. Obviously, we saw Rinaldi. He's lost 2 of his last 3, but they're against legit competition. Against Abel Trujillo and Gregor Gillespie. We did get that very rare Von Flue choke in between those against Alvaro Herrera. But ultimately, I think Knight's going to get back in the win column in this one. I thought he was unlucky against Amir Khani. Nearly finished Amir Khani in that fight and eventually lost a split decision. But yeah, I think Jason Knight just outworks him. I think again this could be a contender for fight of the night because anytime Jason Knight's fighting, it's entertaining. But I'm going with Jason Knight in this one.
Yeah, Scott, before I jump onto you, I've got to ask you, as a fighter yourself, you're brown belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, I believe. What's your take on these Von Flue chokes? Because mine is that they just shouldn't be happening at this level of the sport. But I just wanted to digress a little bit and just get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, really. Like, it probably shouldn't be happening, but OSP seems to be setting them up great. I don't understand his setup, but why do people hold the head when they pass? It makes no sense, but can't they let go? I don't know. I think OSP is doing something a little bit different where they can't actually let go. The arm's already trapped, and then by the time they put the weight on, it's too late. But it's not something that you should be seeing at this level, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I just want to digress a bit there and just get your take on it, because it just seems to blow my mind every time I see it, and it's also a good take from you as well. Like I hadn't considered maybe their armors was trapped in some way by the time that OSP or have started to put the pressure on. So by the time they're putting the pressure on, it's too late. I mean, like the arm's already stuck. But at that moment of passing. Is he already trapping the arms somehow, like some sneaky way that nobody knows? I don't know. What has he got 3 now?
So he's doing something right, and he's that he's made that choke his own. He's modified it and setting people up in a way that it probably won't work for most people. It's like Alexis.
Ezekiel choke. I was just about to bring that up. Then I was going to say, do you think it's similar to Alexei Olenik's Ezekiel choke? As in, he obviously does something in his setup that people haven't quite caught on to yet, and you know what's going to come from them, but they still end up locking it in anyway.
Yeah, I've seen a 6 stat on Alexis' submissions. It's absolutely unbelievable. He's got 12 Ezekiel choke finishes.
It's crazy.
That's crazy. Like he's got more submission wins than I've got wins. He's unbelievable.
You're not supposed to be able to get that Ezekiel choke out of a gi, I believe.
Well, exactly. Yeah. It shouldn't really work, but it works for him. That's the thing. I mean, and he's actually been mounted before I finished with Ezekiel choke. So
yeah,
I don't know. Like that's a little bit different anyway. But I think that's OSP's doing something that's a little bit different and making it work for him, and that's who knows.
Sure.
Don't leave your head inside.
So back to the fight. Jason Knight, Jordan Rinaldi. Who have you got, Scott?
Yeah, I've got to go Jason Knight on this one. I've backed 2 people who have lost 3 fights in a row, but they've got the style that the UFC want, and that's why they've been allowed to lose 3 in a row and still have a contract with UFC, because they've got that exciting style. There's always a chance of a big finish coming there. Jason Knight's got big wins as well. Early on in his career, he won a bit of form. Did he fight at lightweight before? And he's gone down to feather.
Yeah, I think he did.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. He's beat Chaz Skelly and Dan Hooker. Do you know what I mean? Like Jim Allaire's. No, Jim Allaire's definitely a featherweight. So yeah, and Dan Hooker was featherweight. Yeah, so he's always been feather. Yeah, he's got big wins. And his losses are to good people. I like the fight against Makwan. That was a good fight too. I just see him getting the job done in this one. Guys like that, when they're in good losses, I don't think the confidence gets knocked too much. I mean, I think he'll be hungry to get back into win column. And but who knows, when you're fighting for your job, it does have funny effects on you. So who knows? But yeah, I'm going back to Jason Knight in this one.
Yeah, I agree as well. The other interesting point to make as well is he's moved over with Uriah Faber now over at Team Alpha Male.
Right. Yeah.
Nice. That way, with his style, that's perfect. Yeah. It's an absolute perfect move.
Yeah, and that move in the gyms as well. Like obviously I've done that myself. That move in the gyms, it'll just be a different atmosphere, new feel, good vibes. I mean, hopefully that's how it'll be, and everything will be flowing for him. He'll be buzzing off, learning new moves off new coaches. Because this thing with MMA, like no MMA coach can show you everything. You know what I mean? Because there's that many different styles, so you're gonna learn something. Every person could go to a different gym and learn something new. You know what I mean? So yeah, sure. I'm sure he'll be excited about that, and like I say, that good energy going into the fight.
Yeah, I agree, and it's a big move and a big gym for him as well, and I think it'll be the place where he probably finishes off his career there as well. And like you say, just a different look, a different feel. He's going to have training partners that are just on his level or better. I just think he's going to flourish, and we're definitely going to see a different Jason Knight. And I've been tracking these fighters moving over to Team Alpha Male for quite a while now. And I said the same thing when I bet on Ramos to win his last fight against Kang. And when these fighters move over to Alpha Male, that normally their first fight back, they've got really good records of winning. So I do see Jason Knight winning. Like I said, I do think the line is slightly off as well. Jordan Rinaldi is dangerous on the mat. So if it does go there, if Knight does try to take him down, yes, he'll probably be improved from the move to Team Alpha Male, but he has got to be careful if Rinaldi has got a good submission game. Like you mentioned, John, he's got a Von Flue choke as well, so obviously doing something right. So yeah, I've got Jason Knight to win. I think it's just going to be a good scrap though on the feet. I think it's going to be a decision. I don't see Knight getting put away, and I'm not sure Rinaldi will get put away either. He's got a good chin, good cardio, so I think it'll be a war. But I think it'll be a war that Jason Knight wins on the scorecards. So then moving over to our main card, and in the next fight we've got Derek Brunson against Israel Adesanya. So John, who have you got in this one?
Yeah, I think this one's going to be a great fight. Obviously, there's a lot of hype behind Israel Adesanya. Rightly so. He's 14-0 so far. Perfect start to his career. Obviously, we know he came from that kickboxing background. I thought he looked good against Rob Wilkinson in his opening fight, but then against Marvin Vettori, he looked a bit shaky. But I think in his last fight against Tavares, he looked a lot better, utilising all the weapons in his arsenal, those elbows and everything. But he's got a real tough fight. It's a real step up in competition against Derek Brunson. I mean, when you look at his losses, he only loses to really good guys. I mean, he's lost to Jacare Souza in his last fight, obviously that big head kick. But before that, he beat Lyoto Machida, Dan Kelly. He lost to Anderson Silva at UFC 208. I was there at that one. As much as I love Anderson Silva, legend of the sport, I do think Anderson Silva actually lost that fight, and I think
he did lose that fight.
I think Brunson was very unlucky not to come away with the decision in that. And then Robert Whittaker before that. So I mean, he's a dangerous guy. He's got a lot of knockouts on his record. So this is a real step up in competition for Adesanya. But I do think. I think the last style bender's going to get it done. I think he's going to utilise his range. I think he's going to utilise all the weapons in his arsenal again, similar to the Tavares fight. We saw in the Tavares fight that he's got cardio. He can go 5 rounds. But yeah, ultimately I think he's going to keep him at bay with those kicks, those front kicks, jabs. And then when it comes in close, he's going to catch him with those knees and elbows. I don't think he's going to put Brunson away. I think it's going to go to a decision, but I think Adesanya's going to take it.
Scott, who have you got?
Yeah. Adesanya's last win against Brad Tavares, that was sort of like Brad Tavares. You've just said that about Derek Brunson about only losing to the good guys, but Brad Tavares is sort of that gatekeeper towards that next level of good guys in UFC. Yeah. He doesn't lose to many either. I think Adesanya can put it on him and finish him. I think Derek Bronson's got wide looping strikes. He comes charging in. He's a little bit sloppy at times with his striking. I think there's a bit of fuel in fire from both of them from bad mouthing each other on social media. So I don't know if that's going to play a part in the fight. I think if I'm going to pick, I'll probably say Adesanya by finish. Feel Bronson been sloppy, but if not, Bronson's going to take him down, control him, and just show him that when you're breaking into that level of fighter, that is a different level, and he's got a bit more work to do. Yeah, I think Bronson win, or if not, it'll be Adesanya will get the finish.
No sitting on the fence, Scott. What's your pick, man?
I did leave it pretty open on my pick there, didn't I? Yeah, I think I'm going to go with Derek Brunson. Me personally, I don't see Adesanya winning the decision. I think Derek Brunson will win the decision. But like I say, if he does win that, it'll be by something spectacular.
Yeah, and I think you've hit a lot of really good points there, And same with you as well, John. You mentioned that there was a lot of hype behind Adesanya, especially on Twitter as well, on MMA Twitter. Everybody, like 99% of people at least, seem to be on Adesanya, and I get it. I do get it. He's a young guy. He's exciting. He's crisp. It was a professional performance that he put on against Brad Tavares, who, like you mentioned, Scott, is a gatekeeper. Well, like a gatekeeper in that division. He doesn't lose many, but when you do beat Brad Tavares, you know where your trajectory is, and you know that you're on the up in that middleweight division. But Brunson does pose a lot of problems, and Brunson has fought pretty much only the top competition in the UFC. He's got a really good resume. So for me, it's not that I'm not sold on Adesanya. I think he's a great fighter, but until I really think that he's ready for sort of like the top 5, I've got to see this fight first and see how he performs against it, because the problem is, like you mentioned, Scott, with Brunson, his wrestling's really, really good. It's also really underrated. He doesn't use it a lot because he's starching the wins that he has. He's starching the guys really early. The losses that he has, he's getting starched early because he keeps his chin out there, and he's quite, he doesn't move his head off the centre line when throwing wild punches. So that for me is, there's just a lot of question marks in this fight, and there's a lot of red flags. And I agree, again, Scott, I agree with you. I don't see Adesanya winning a decision. I think either Adesanya will knock Brunson out, with Brunson holding his chin high, throwing shots, trying to knock him out, or Brunson will fight smart, which he has done in the past. He doesn't always fight like a lunatic. And I think Brunson could edge it out via his wrestling. So there is a lot of question marks for me, but ultimately I just cannot, at this point, I cannot trust Brunson not to leave his chin out whilst throwing strikes. So I think Adesanya, with his kickboxing background, is going to find that chin at some point. And like I say, Brunson's been knocked out a few times now, so it's sort of, you're asking the question of, where is his chin actually at in regards to how durable he is? So again, another question, another red flag. Ultimately, my pick is going to be Adesanya, and I think he's going to get it done by knockout. So in the next fight of the night, we've got Karl Roberson versus Jack Marshman. I'll kick this one off. I think it's a really good fight for Karl Roberson. I think it's a bad stylistic fight for Jack Marshman. Again, it's a southpaw versus an orthodox fighter, Karl Roberson being the southpaw. Also coming from a kickboxing background as well, so his technique and his striking is really crisp. He does throw a lot of kicks as well, so that body's going to be open from Marshman to be kicked in the body, and then once the body starts getting hit a bit, he'll naturally just maybe start to lower his hands, and then those kicks could then come high, which would then be dangerous and probably looking at knockout territory. But he's also, I think Karl Roberson's adapted to mixed martial arts really, really well, and he's developed really well, because for an ex-professional kickboxer, he's got a good clinch game, he's got a good ground game, he's got quite a few submissions on his record as well. So I just think his all-round game is actually developed really nicely in mixed martial arts. Now, from Jack Marshman's point of view, he's a fighter that I actually really love to watch. Good boxing background. I know he's done some stuff with Joe Calzaghe in the past, which he's one of my favourite boxers of all time. So that's cool that he's been able to work with him. He's got a lot of knockouts on his record. He's been around for a long time. I think both these guys are 28, but for me, I feel like Jack Marshman's older just because of the amount
been around years.
Yeah, the amount of years that he's been fighting. So he's old in the fight game rather than old in age. I just think that he's at some point when he's getting out volumed, he's just going to start winging shots. He's going to come forward being aggressive. He's going to start throwing wildly and trying to brawl with Karl Roberson. And I just don't think Karl Roberson's going to allow that brawl to happen. I just don't think I just don't think that'll wash with him. So I'm not sure how Roberson wins in this fight. I don't think it's going to go to a decision. I think he's either going to knock him out, or I think if Marshman comes forward aggressive, he could maybe tie him up in the clinch, throw him to the mat and submit him, sort of similar to what he did with Darren Stewart. But I think Karl Roberson's going to get the win. For the sake of the pick, I'll go by knockout. So Scott, who have you got in this one?
Yeah, I've got to go with Jack Marshman on this. I know he's saying that Roberson's kickboxing style, and he's also lost one by a wheel kick to Thiago Neta Santos. So, but yeah, he's got a good. You call it brawling style, but I disagree. I don't think it's a brawling style. I think Marshman's got a good forward pressure style. It comes in with 2s and 3 shots, but sometimes even more. He puts that pressure on guys, and it does, like I say, it does leave him open sometimes to get hit. But sometimes people can't keep up with that pressure, and I'm going to go with a Brit this time, Marshman. But yeah, I rate Marshman. I like him as a person and as a fighter. So I'm hoping he gets that win as well.
Cool. And John, who have you got, man?
I want our fellow UK guy, Jack Marshman, to win it, but I'm going to side with you on this one. I think Roberson's going to get the win. I do think, as Scott mentioned, I think Marshman will come forward, he'll pressure. And I think this is going to be another good scrap as well. I think they're both going to light each other up a bit, but ultimately I think Roberson does eventually catch Marshman coming in, and yeah, I think he'll drop him, and I think he'll either finish him with the ground and pound, or I think he'll latch on a submission while Marshman's trying to scramble back to his feet. I think it'll be second round, maybe late second round, early third round. But yeah, I think Robeson's going to get the win in this one.
Cool. And in the next fight of the night, we've got David Branch versus Jared Cannonier. Now, all this has really been like switched and chopped and changed and things like that. So initially, we were supposed to have had Jacare against David Branch, and then it was Weidman against Rockhold. Rockhold pulled out, so the UFC gave Jacare the fight instead of Weidman, which left Branch without an opponent, and then they pulled Jared Cannonier in on short notice to make his middleweight debut. So yeah, David Branch versus Jared Cannonier. John, who have you got, man?
Yeah, I'm going with Dave Branch on this one. Like you say, just going off topic slightly to start with, I've got a feel for the fans who are going to watch this one, because this card's been decimated by injuries. I mean, there's been so many fight changes and fights pulled out. Obviously, the big one being Nate Diaz against Dustin Poirier as well. We're all looking forward to that one, but
Yoel Romero Borrachina was another one.
Yeah, of course, yeah. But yeah, so this fight's kind of come together at the last minute. I'm glad they've managed to keep Branch on the card, because it would have been unfortunate for him if it had been booted from the card, because obviously, like you say, Jacare Souza's now fighting Weidman. But yeah, going back to his fight, I think Dave Branch is going to get the win. I know Cannonier's coming down from light heavyweight, so I'm anticipating he's going to be strong, he's going to be big, but coming down on short notice, I worry about his cardio going into the later rounds. Dave Branch has got that heavy grappling style, that good wrestling style. Obviously, we saw in his last fight he didn't need that as he dispatched of Thiago Santos in the first round. But besides that, I mean, he's only one loss in about his last 10 or 12 fights is against Luke Rockhold, who's elite for the division. But yeah, I think Dave Branch is going to wear on Cannonier. I think he's going to wrestle him. I think he's going to hold him down. I don't think it's going to be a particularly entertaining fight for those guys who like standing and brawling. But yeah, I think Dave Branch is going to just wear Cannonier down. I think Cannonier is pretty durable. Obviously, we saw Dominic Reyes blast through him in the first round, but Dominic Reyes blast through pretty much everyone. But he went the distance with Jan Blachowicz and Glover Teixeira, who were both tough guys in the light heavyweight division. So I don't think Branch is going to blast through him. I think he's going to go the distance, but I think Branch is going to get the decision win.
Cool. And Scott, what about you?
Yeah, I think pretty much same on that one. It's not going to be one for the purists, let's say. Not for the purists, for the casual fans. Sorry, it's not going to be one for them. It's not going to be the most entertaining fight. David Branch has found a bit of form, so he's going back to UFC. It's his second stint. He's beat Christoph Yotko and Thiago Santos, both teammates of mine. So yeah, he's up there and he's capable. I think he's going to get that win. But like I say, I don't think there's going to be a finish in this one. I think it'll be a decision win, and I don't think it's going to be. I don't think it's what. I think it's the most exciting on the main card that people will be looking forward to. Let's say.
Yeah, for sure.
Does that make sense? Yeah, I think it's the fight that people go to get a drink from the bar from. Let's say.
Well, I'll agree and I'll disagree with both of you. So I agree. I think David Branch will win, but I do think he's going to finish him, and I think it's going to be a late submission. Branch is a veteran. You know, he's got good takedowns, he's got good wrestling, and he's also got really, really underrated grappling as well. Now, I don't think it'll happen early or straight away. I think it'll be a bit of a boxing match in the first round. Could then get a little bit hairy for both guys, because you know, Cannonier, like you mentioned, John, is coming down from light heavyweight, so he's going to be strong, he's going to hit hard. I don't think it's going to be anything that Branch hasn't sort of had to deal with in his MMA career, though, so I think he'll be able to sail through that if Cannonier does come out a little bit aggressive. But I can see, especially being on short notice as well, and Cannonier fighting at middleweight for the first time, I could see potentially Cannonier fading down the line. I think that's when the takedowns might come. And then, yeah, I think if Branch can get on top, sort of mid to late fight, and have a couple of minutes to work, I think he'll be able to work up a submission, whether that be sort of like an arm triangle from mount to then side control, or whether Cannonier turtles up, gives him his back, and he gets a rear naked choke. I'm not sure, but yeah, I think Branch is going to win, and I can see it via submission. So in the co-main event of the evening, again, we've mentioned that this fight was only made very recently. We've got Chris Weidman against Jacare Souza. So, Scott, who have you got in this one, man?
I don't really know who I picked just yet. This is actually one where I hope it does hit the floor. I feel like they both got good wrestling, both got good grappling. Weidman better wrestling, Jacare better grappling, striking. I just hope it doesn't turn into a stand-up match where neither wants to take each other down because Jacare don't want to try a takedown on Weidman because he's got too good wrestling, and Weidman don't want to try to take Jacare down because he's got too good grappling. I hope it don't turn into one of them fights that both just like mutually agree just to slug it out and it not a bit best striking fight.
Sure.
But if I'm gonna go for who to win, I don't think Weidman's got just the cleaner striking and the better wrestling too. So I think if he does want to keep it on the feet, we'll go Weidman. Both veterans, they've both been around a long time. I don't see the winner finishing this one. But yeah, I'm gonna go Weidman decision.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I agree with a lot of points that you've made as well. And I could also potentially, and we have seen it time and time again, where two grapplers just end up being in a kickboxing fight because it just both styles completely nullify each other. And I think it's a bit of a weird one, this, because I think where Weidman excels most is in his wrestling, but I actually don't think that Weidman will want to take Jacare down because Jacare is such a beast on the mat. I can't remember what level of jiu-jitsu it is.
That when you get to that level, that don't matter. Do you know what I mean? Like 4-5 degree. It's not like Dan's in judo and that. That's just how long you've been a black belt. Like the before degree black belts out there that I'm confident I could be like. They just get it for how long they've been at mat, but then like even at black belt, there's just so many different levels. It's hard to explain. Do you know what I mean? Like,
no, I get it.
You've got like your gym black belts, and you've got your competition black belts, and Jacare's a legit black belt. Do you know what I mean? He's beat Audrey Gracie. I know some people wouldn't call it a win when he's jumping around with a broken arm because he held on till time just to win, but he still beat him. But yeah, he's a legit grappler. But like, yeah, that degree in black belt, that's just how long you've been a black belt. So I'm guessing he started young and he got his black belt early. Because I think it's every 4 years you get a degree on your black belt. So it might be less than that. I'm not too sure to be honest with you, but yeah. There'll be people that have been black belt as long as him that are nowhere near that level. Do you know what I mean? It's hard to explain with grappling. There's levels and levels like at the same grade.
For sure. Yeah. And yeah, like I've said, I mean, I feel that Wyman doesn't want to go there with him, but that's possibly his best.
He's a black belt himself. Again, I know we're going back to different levels, but yeah, he's a legit black belt himself. But yeah,
I think that's what Matt Serra.
Yes.
Ray Longo, isn't it?
Yeah, Ray Longo. Yeah.
But I don't know. I just feel that I think that Jacare will want to get the fight to the mat, but I think Wyman would rather keep it standing. Now, for me, when it comes to a pick, because I've had a really hard time with this one as well, I don't think it's a clear-cut pick at all. And I just think that I'm going with Weidman to win. And the reason why I'm going with Weidman to win is because I saw the state of Jacare after one round against Gastelum after he couldn't submit him on the mat. I know that Jacare kept competitive after that, and it was actually a really close decision and one that I wasn't sure. Normally, when I'm scoring fights and stuff, when I'm watching it, I normally got an idea and a strong opinion of who might take the fight before we hit the scorecards. But I genuinely didn't with Jacare and Gastelum. But Jacare was really, really tired in that fight, and I just have a hard time picking somebody that. In his last fight, I saw Gas after round one, even though he still did relatively well. I just think that if that happens, because Gastelum was also a lot smaller than Jacare as well, this isn't going to be the case. Weidman's going to be as big as Jacare, so I do feel that Gastelum was getting hit, was also getting caught by Jacare, even though he was gassed on the way in because he had to get inside it to land shots himself, whereas Weidman can play on the outside if he needs to. So I am going to go with Chris Weidman. I also agree with you, Scott. I don't think there'll be a finish in the fight. I think he'll get it done by decision. I don't think Jacare's. I think Jacare's going to look very tired though by the time it gets to the end of the fight. But yeah, I've got Weidman winning by decision. So John, what about you?
Yeah, I agree with both of you. I'm going to make it the hat trick for Chris Weidman. Both of you have covered off the points pretty much. Jacare, I think he's obviously going to want it to go to the ground. And he's going to. I don't think he'll be able to get it there though because of Chris Weidman's wrestling. So I think it'll play out mostly on the feet, and I think that Weidman's got the slightly better striking than Jacare has. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Jacare try to pull guard later in the fight if he hasn't been able to get it there with his wrestling. But ultimately, I think it's going to go to decision. I can't see a finish for either. I don't think Chris Weidman's going to utilise his wrestling very much unless he does it later on in the fight. I think it's going to play out. The majority of the fight is going to play out on the feet, and I think Weidman's got the slightly better striking. I think he's going to get the win.
Cool.
I'm going potential fight night on that one as well. I think that can be. I do actually think that can be a good fight. Jacare has got good wrestling as well, though. So maybe it's easy to take people down when you punch people as well, because that lifts them up a little bit. It makes it easy to get under the hips. So maybe we'll see a takedown of Jacare. But yeah, I think that's potentially fight night.
Awesome, and you know what? That's the first time this has happened. That there's actually just been a random prediction of fight of the night from all of us. So obviously, Scott, you're going with Chris Weidman, Jacare. You've got Julio Arce and Sheymon Moraes, and I've got Shane Burgos and Kurt Holobaugh. So that's cool. We'll see how that plays out. Which then leaves us with the main event of the evening. And this one's going to be it really hurts me to break this one down for reasons that I'm sure a lot of people that follow me on Twitter and will know of. But I'll go last on this one. Scott, we've got the heavyweight championship. We've got Daniel Cormier versus Derek the Black Beast Lewis. Who have you got in this one?
Obviously, Daniel Cormier is pound for pound number one for a reason. I don't see Derek Lewis winning this one. I'm not going to say he hasn't got a way to win, because he has. He is the Black Beast. He is a powerful man. He's got big power in the hands, and he can get that finish. But I don't see that happening. I see it being a mauling from Daniel Cormier. Just wait. Derek Lewis talks about his own career. He says he's not an athlete. He's lazy in the gym. He does this, and then he does like a 30-minute workout. Then he's making names. And God's honest truth, I know he were around the title shot, but off his last two performances against Francis Ngannou and then Volkov, I really don't think he would have got the title shot if he didn't say my balls were hot. Literally, that is the only reason he's got a title shot, because off the two performances, I think they would have made him have one more. He said he wasn't ready for a title shot. He said his balls were hot. Got 600,000 more Instagram followers, and then he's got a title shot 30 days later. Do you know what I mean? After openly saying that he's not ready.
I think you're missing a key point here, though, Scott, because both of them have got beef from the Popeye chicken advert that DC did. So, I think that plays a part as well. It's going to be a funny build up for sure, especially if
definitely if
that gets brought up.
It's not one I'm excited for. It's not a fight I'm excited for on card. I'm not saying it can't be a good fight, because it can be. You got pound for pound number one in the world against Derek Lewis. It can be a good fight, but of Derek Lewis's last two fights, he hasn't been in. He was down almost 3 rounds against Volkov. He lost. He beat Ngannou, didn't he? But he broke all the stats. It broke all the stats for ones you don't want to break. But yeah, that being said, he's got big power and he can get the finish, obviously. But I just don't see it against Cormier.
John, what about you?
Yeah, I think Scott's covered off pretty much everything I was going to say as well. I think they've Derek Lewis got that win over Volkov. Literally, he lost 14 and a half minutes of the fight, and just it still baffles me to this day why Volkov didn't just keep his range for those last 15, 20 seconds. I think he tried to step in with that knee again. He didn't need to. He had Lewis hurt all fight. He was just beating him up. And I still can't believe he continued to engage in the last 20 seconds of the fight. He was clearly going to win when he went to the scorecards. But Derek Lewis got the win. Shouted that his balls were hot, and I think this has only partly come about due to the fact that the UFC were also really scrambling for a main event for this card. I think if they got a main event set and not the one that was initially planned with Sijara, Eubanks, and Valentina Shevchenko, which the MMA community weren't particularly pleased about. I don't think this fight would have been put together.
Kicked off with that, didn't it?
It certainly did. The MMA fans on Twitter were not happy in the slightest. But yeah, I think if they'd already got a main event set for this, then I don't think this fight would be happening. Like Scott said, I don't think Lewis's last two performances, although he's won, he's only lost one in like he's about his last 10 or so. His last two performances haven't been great. I'd have preferred to see Curtis Blades if he is victorious against he's fighting Ngannou, isn't he, in Beijing in a few weeks. I'd much rather see Curtis Blades against Daniel Cormier, and I think that would have been the fight that we'd have saw if, like I say, if they'd have got a main event sorted for this for UFC 230. But going back to the actual fight itself, I can't see. Well, again, I can see how Cormier loses because Derek Lewis has got. I think it's the most knockouts in the heavyweight division. But besides that huge one-punch shot, I think Cormier is better everywhere. Lewis isn't particularly athletic, as we know. As you say, he only trains. He said, I think he was talking to Michael Bisping when he said he only trains for 30 minutes a day. And Cormier is just a beast. I mean, his clinch game's one of the best in the business. He'll take Lewis down, I think. He'll hold him down. I think Lewis will be tired after a round. And yeah, I think Cormier finishes him. I think he finishes him quite early as well, maybe late in the first or early in the second. But I think he's going to put him away.
Yeah, it's a tough one for me to to take and to break down because it still fucking hurts after. I had a max bet on Alexander Volkov in that fight, so it really fucking hurt. And just to correct you on a few things there, John, it wasn't two and a half rounds that he was dominating. It was 14 minutes and 50 seconds.
I thought I said 14 minutes 40 seconds.
Yeah, it's still not 40. It was. I'm telling you, I was looking at that clock, absolutely shitting my pants. I'm telling you right now, it was 14 minutes and 50 seconds. And I still cannot believe what happened. Volkov fought the perfect fight against Derek Lewis. He fought exactly how you're supposed to fight against Derek Lewis, then start to try and throw knees inside the pocket against him with 10 seconds to go. So yeah, a tough one to take from my perspective, but also it does give me a new perspective on Derek Lewis for the fact that the dude can get totally dominated, totally beaten up, lose every second of the fight until he lands one punch, and it's like it suddenly becomes hard to bet against him. I don't think I don't rate him as a fighter. That's my opinion. I'm entitled to it. I don't rate him as a fighter. I think there's a lot of There's so many other heavyweights in the UFC that are better than him. I don't think he should be in this title fight with Daniel Cormier for the reasons that Scott's mentioned also. And I still find it hard to bet against him because he's got that one shot power that can end a night when he's being totally destroyed for the entire fight. Would it surprise me if this fight went 24 minutes and 50 seconds and then Derek Lewis knocked Cormier out? No, it wouldn't. It wouldn't surprise me after what we've seen and after what I had to deal with at UFC 229. I had my head in my hands. I just couldn't believe what had happened. But ultimately, I don't think you can pick against Daniel Cormier in this fight. Yes, Derek Lewis has that one-shot knockout power. Yes, he could land it. Yes, he could knock Cormier out. But I just think Cormier is just going to shoot a takedown straight off the bat. I think he'll take Derek Lewis's back. I don't think Derek Lewis will be able to muscle him off like he has been able to in his past opponents. Cormier's grappling's too good. His jiu-jitsu is a lot better than what Lewis's is, and I think he's going to get a first round submission. I think Lewis will give his back up. I think Daniel Cormier will take it. I think he'll rear naked choke him and still the heavyweight champion. So That's all she wrote for the fight breakdowns, guys. So for the bets this week at UFC 230, don't forget to check out the premium bets from Newsome MMA and the membership options available too. So just before we hit the quick Newsome MMA 2-minute plug, this is your chance, Scott, to plug anything you need to. So sponsors, coaches, teammates, family, friends, etc. You know how it works, man. So the floor is yours.
Yeah, nice one. I'll say like always. I'll tag when you share the video. I'll tag all my sponsors saying thank you. But yeah, it's been a good talk. Thank you guys for having me. I was a bit stuck at start with it early on the card, but we got there at the end.
For sure, man. For sure.
Thank you.
And Jon, yourself, what do you need to
yeah, as always, hit me up on Fight Post. I've got some big interviews come out in the last week or so. Tom Breeze, ahead of his fight at UFC Buenos Aires in a couple of weeks' time, interviewed him. Ross Houston, who obviously won the Cage Warriors title last weekend. And also I've got Soren back, an interview Soren back coming out. So Fight Post, check it out on Facebook, search for it, or www.fightpost.co.uk. Or as always, hit me up on Twitter at MMA and me. I always love talking about the fight game. So if you're a fight fan, then hit me up on Twitter.
Sure, and now for the quick Newsome MMA 2-minute plug. So, first of all, I just want to talk about Concussion Pro 1, who are partner in Newsome MMA. Concussion Pro 1 is the world's first dedicated concussion supplement supporting brain health and performance. The product, honestly, is groundbreaking. There isn't another supplement like it on the market either. The unique formula that makes up Concussion Pro 1 has been developed and created by some of the world's most decorated sports scientists to help protect and support the brain and its performance. It's also approved by the UK Mixed Martial Arts Federation. Concussion Pro 1 provides some amazing support to the brain. It increases mental performance, faster recovery from injury, reduced inflammation post-impact, improved neural protection, and much more. With professional athletes such as Alexander Rakic, Mark DeCasey, and our very own Scott Askham using Concussion Pro 1, you can already see how vital this product is, not only for MMA but for all combat sports. So find out more information by clicking on any of the banners on the Newsome MMA website or go to concussionpro1.com. Secondly, please check out the sponsor of Newsome MMA, which is CBD Life UK. I'm a great case study for CBD. In the MMA gambling world, people often talk about sweats and nerves as they're watching their fighter that they've bet on fight. But these feelings are absolutely real, and because of that, I do vape CBD throughout the fight cards just to help me relax on the night. And if I'm honest, I didn't think it would make much of a difference, but it really does, and I'd honestly recommend it to anybody, especially MMA gamblers. You can access the offers from my sponsorship by clicking on any of the banners on the Newsome MMA website, and you can also get 15% off your first order by using promo code Newsome MMA. And that's it from us, guys. Enjoy the fights on Saturday night. Thank you and goodbye.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Scott.
Nice one, guys. Thank you.